let's look at other issues. NLC has actually debunked speculations that it might back down on its proposed industrial action, despite the fact that there is a widespread trust deficit among the various sections of the Nigerian masses. What's your reaction to this, especially with the failure of NLC in the past, especially when it comes to issues like this?
First and foremost, let me say I stand with the NLC and its call for a strike. And I would know a number of people will say, and I tell people this often, they say NLC calls off strike, this and that. If this strike is called off, I'll speak out against it as I've done before. I remember when I was working on secondment with the NLC and a strike was called off. Incidentally, myself and Biodo Aremu, we had, gotten people out, burning tires that morning. And then we got the news that it had been called off. And then I wrote a strong, that circulated widely. And someone was asking me if I had gotten another job. And I said, no, it's about principles. But as it is now, the NLC has said it is not going back. I take this and I stand by it and I defend them, and I urge everyone to support them with regards to going ahead with the strike. Now, on the issue of trust deficit and on the issue of limitations of trade union, I've written a bit on these. One of it was on trade unionism and the limits of social transformation. Trade unions are first and foremost economic defense organizations of the working class. In fact, and I say this as I've been a full-time trade unionist for over a quarter of a century now, and the nature of my work gives me a view beyond that of Nigeria, over 150 countries. I think the NLC is one of the most pro-people, the most active trade union federation in the world. Few federations, few trade unions come out on even on issues of bread and butter of the wages, which is the primary remit of trade unions. A lot of unions across the world are more hesitant in coming out on this than to come out on broader social and economic issues like this. This is not to then say that we don't point out the limitations of the unions when they fail or they call off strikes. We should. We have to. But we need to appreciate what they do. And I think that a great part of the problem is, particularly with the Nigerian left, we project our weaknesses and inadequacies on the trade union movement. The labor movement is not just the trade union movement. I mean, it includes the left. But I mean, unlike in other countries where for decades the left has been able to mobilize thousands, tens of thousands of people to the streets in their own name, except for the brief period of the campaign for democracy, and I mean, that is, we can go into the how of that. The left has largely not been. And that is why I think that the role of a movement like the Take It Back is of historic significance. It's as a critical component of the Coalition for Revolution, as being a body that has been able to and had consistently mobilized thousands of people out in protest and demonstrations across several countries over the past, across several states in the Federation over the last couple of years. So the trust deficit is understandable, but not wholly justifiable. And the challenge is on the broader labor movement, including the left and beyond just the trade unions. And as I said earlier, this is not to rub the head of the trade unions to say that you couldn't have done better, or that there haven't been betrayals and rotten deals. There have been these, but these are just part of a broader story.
Now, let's also look at other issues surrounding this. Pro-subsidy upholders and pro-government individuals have actually come out to say that the courts, I mean, in fact, as a matter of fact, we are hearing reports that they are shopping for a court injunction from the National Industrial Court to stop NLC from embarking on this on this strike action, just like they did with the ASU, if you quite remember, how the then Minister of Labor Ngige dealt with ASU, and the Professor Sudekos led the ASU, and they feel that if Ajero grandstands, he will be charged for contempt, and they have also pushed the position that the issue of removal of the PMS subsidy is a matter of federal government policy, and it does not in any way concern the basis for the existence of a trade union in Nigeria, that it does not constitute a trade dispute in the definition that allows labor's use of strike action as a threat. You are a labor leader, and you understand the outworkings of labor itself. What's your take on this position?
I'll start from that last bit, and that is one of the reasons why I say when people condemn the NLC and TUC, the NLC in this case, well, and historically the TUC, but when you also look at what happened in 2003 that led to the emergence of the CFTU, Congress of Free Trade Unions, after the TUC pulled out of that strike. But anyway, is that it is not usual for trade unions to come out on issues outside collective bargaining procedural agreements, but it is legitimate. And I think that is part of the rich history of the Nigerian working class movement. Right from the first general strike of 45, which was on cost of living allowance, yes. But the working class, the trade union movement, and the broader working class has consistently stood by the masses as a whole, the working people as a whole. And this is important and should be commended. And you see the hypocrisy of all sections of the ruling class playing itself out. The same people that are now talking this Okpata were the ones that joined NLC in 2012 at the barricades, and that time their mouth was doing nonsense. Now they are saying this. Now they are saying this. They have no moral right to say that. And it shows you just how shameless they are. If they had the slightest tinge of honor, they wouldn't be putting forward this argument. But what do you expect from them? So you should expect them to do everything possible to try to sabotage the intended strike. And you see, beyond that, and this part of, I keep saying this, the part of the chessboard, we should expect more of attacks that try to constrain what is possible in terms of trade unionism and attempts to limit it to industrial relations in the strict sense of the word. But as I said, socioeconomic issues are of utmost importance because they shape the context of industrial relations itself. The workers that you are talking of, that the collective bargaining, what happens in the broader socioeconomic system informs what they can buy with whatever wages you negotiate in the industrial relations system in the markets. So NLC should stand forthright and move forward with that spirit here.
Another, statements of attempts to discredit NLC has been put forward by these so-called detractors. is that the NLC cannot be at the forefront of discussion with the federal government as to how to manage the implementation of subsidy removal. In fact, they said while the interests and positions of various stakeholders must be taken into account, including that of NLC and its members, the proper parties to engage in a dialogue around subsidy removals are actually the National Executive Council and the National Assembly. What's your take on this?
I laugh in Swahili, nonsense and ingredients. The NLC is the most representative mass organization in Nigeria. The working class, despite its proportional, I mean, because people say Nigeria is about 80% informal economy, but organized labor is the most pan-Nigerian mass democratic organization. And there are 1,001 ties between even this formal sector that as organized labor has some NLC has officially about 4.5 million members. I think it should, because they've kept that number for a while, but then, TUC maybe about 2 million thereabout. But this also have ties with the broader informal economy. So talking about the National Economic Council, the Parliament, they are all representative of the same class. In fact, this idea of making it seem that Parliament, executive, they are different. Yes, and also no. Especially in situations where you have the party in power at the executive level also having a majority in parliament. So it is fraudulent to now reduce the stakeholders to just the same set of people, but wearing different hats. The NLC speaks for working class people. No. And it is the body that is most representative to do that.
That's quite noted. Also, it's also been alluded that NLC itself has been politicized, having become a wing of a political party, the Labour Party. This, they say, has blurred the line between Labour as a movement and or an official party. This kind of engagement couldn't accord undue political advantage to the opposition. Your take on this, sir?
First and foremost, the NLC is not affiliated to the Labour Party.
That's right.
The NLC formed the Labour Party. I have my own views on the state of the Labour Party, not even just the current state of the Labour Party, but the trajectory of its history. I'm a founding member of the Labour Party. I was in its national leadership for over a dozen years. Including as Deputy National Secretary. Yes, the NLC, and before they even go into that, NLC supported the Labour Party during the last election or not. I have my concerns about that because I believe that the Labour Party, particularly as it's shaped now, does not represent the working class. Its candidates, just like the current president, had also made it clear that he would lift this subsidy the following day on coming to power. And I mean, look at his track record as well as his program, neoliberal, also to service, the interest of the 1% over the 99%, despite all the Sankara story of, that you have to put Ajasa, you cannot just give people poison without putting some sweetener to it ideologically. So there's that, but that does not in any way undermine the right of the NLC to support that party. I mean, for example, you have, and that they are even saying this is so petty. Look at the disunited kingdom. the TUC UK has ties with Labour.
Yeah.
You have never seen the Conservatives saying because of that, when Labour, when the unions take a stance against these policies, that is because it's supporting Labour. In the United States of North America, the AFL-CIO has ties with the Democrats. You have never seen the Republicans say that because the AFL-CIO has ties with the Democrats, that is why it challenges policies of the Republicans that work against working class people. It's just are we finding something to talk.
Let me get your final thoughts on this because we are actually running out of time. You had described Tinubu as a dyed-in-the-wool capitalist in one of your recent interviews, and that he was going to promote more of the capitalist more than the people-oriented programs, despite their sugar-coated promises. Let me ask at this point in time, Tinubu had come out prior to these elections to say that he was going to remove subsidy, irrespective of the protest and how long the protest will take. And despite the strike action being embarked upon now by NLC and the trade union congresses and other affiliates of Labour, do you see him backing them down or reversing his decisions at this point in time? And what do you think the leftist, Marxist-oriented political parties and groups should be doing at this point in time to ensure that they build a critical mass of working class people and youth around their ideas?
I see about 3-4 questions in this. I'll try to answer each of them. I will start with, do I see him backing down? You know, there's this Yoruba saying that is somebody that fight does not meet, that says that is an indomitable man.
Mm.
You know, I want to draw from the seminal words of Maire Yenege Kolagbodi, who said the game is a game of power and a trial of strength. And that is why I said this is a battle that NLC should not back down from. It will send a message that the power of the people is greater than the people in power if the trade unions stand firm. And to borrow from Ralph Chaplin, who wrote the Solidarity song, he said, "In our hands is placed the power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified." Yeah, and to draw from Ralph Chaplin, who wrote the song Solidarity Forever. In our hands is placed the power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We are many. These people are few. If the working class stands firm under the leadership of the NLC and wins, we would have sent home very clearly so the message that the people united cannot be defeated. And this will make them think twice about rolling out more neoliberal policies that are clearly up their sleeves. And that brings me to the issue of Tinubu as a dyed-in-the-wool capitalist. He's not only a dyed-in-the-wool capitalist, we need to situate the time he's coming to power. I was responding to someone I hold in high regard, I must also say, to a great extent, Owela Kemfa in the WhatsApp group on his recent column comparing Awolowo to Tinubu. And I said something that might sound funny to a number of people that, look, Tinubu is the Awolowo of the 21st century. Why do I say this? Awolowo came to politics and at a time when the common sense amongst the capitalists was welfareism, the interventionist state. And this was because in the wake after the World War II, capital was expanding. And the capitalists we are ready to give more crumbs to working class people. This was the same period when in the UK you had the National Health Service, the NHS, and the welfare state in the West and all that. But capitalism in the 21st century, particularly since the great financial crisis, the great economic crisis, is in a state of sluggishness, double recessions, unending depression, and that is in the material aspect. And ideologically, even before entering this phase, there had been a common sense of the capitalists that, look, neoliberalism is the only way. And what is neoliberalism? Privatization, cuts in social spending, deregulation, prioritizing profit more. And that is why you see that profit of the capitalists have shot up since the 70s, whilst even in the best case situation, the wages of workers in real terms, not nominal terms, in terms of what it can buy, has remained on the same level. And that is why they introduced things like credit, which Tinubu has also said he will use. Don't forget that what sparked the crisis in 2007 was subprime credit or mortgage. Make us to also commit the labor that we would use tomorrow. So Tinubu represents today's capitalism, which is degenerate and which has nothing to offer working class people more than suffering, more than impoverization. It will raise a few people. The rich, the super rich will get far richer, but the mass of the people will get poorer. Now, what is the left to do? We need to be more visionary in terms of presenting alternatives. It's not just cliches and slogans. We need more well thought out perspectives. And we need to go beyond we need to organize. Most of the left bodies are like butterflies claiming to be eagle. We need to be rooted in the working class people in our communities, in the factories, to be able to play a key role in catalyzing the struggles ahead for revolutionary possibilities that could lead to the emancipation of working class people and the progressive transformation of society.
Babaye, thank you so much for your insightful analysis. It's a pleasure to have you again on Sahara TV.
The pleasure is mine, Tops. Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. That's Babaye, the co-convener Coalition for Revolution and the co-president Geneva Global Health Hub. He was the former Deputy National Secretary of the Labour Party and the former national convener of the United Action for Democracy. This is from Sahara TV.